How do we eliminate that outside noise? This was the question I came across when I was on TikTok, as you would. We live in a society to where social media is king. We have YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, parents, family get-togethers. We live in a society where social media matters, and we can't escape it. It really sucks. I wish I can explain that we can do things differently, but it just sucks. Let me quickly format this. But again, this is a situation where we can't escape it to a degree, and the person answering this TikTok was none other than Gary Vaynerchuk. Essentially, in this TikTok, he goes out yelling to where by not caring about other people's opinions once and for all. High school is over. Stop playing in it. What's just living for other people's opinions sucks. Everybody else sucks too. And that was his essential message, and that's pretty reasonable, but it really depends. It depends on who you're saying this to, and it can be taken in so many ways. I can at least understand to where living under someone else's judgment is very tough. I lived in a environment to where the family mattered, to where whatever you did affected the family image, and that's really toxic. If you watch the Pixar movie Turning Red, that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing to where generational trauma comes in a package where you have to be perfect. You have to do certain things. You have to listen and obey your family. But that's also pretty toxic. You are by doing that, you are pretty constrained under the judgment of your family. You're pretty tied down under the idea that what you do in school and how you look will affect the family. It was so funny where especially in my own situation, in my own experience, my mom was very passionate, I'd say, about making sure that her kids understood they need to have A's in every class. She had to make sure that her kids looked a certain way, and that got really fatiguing very quickly. It got to be very fatiguing to where maintaining your 4.0, maintaining your physique was really tough. I was not a good student. My mom did not understand that I was a good student. So I was often judged by my mom because I didn't always get straight A's. I didn't always look a certain way. She had the misguided understanding that having a whole lot of protein and having like protein powder would make you fat. She had the idea that if you're not looking good, you must not be doing enough cardio. You must not be doing enough exercise to look good. And she would say, "You look too big. Stop lifting weights. You look too big." And that was fatiguing. Living for her judgment was very fatiguing. And since moving out, I think I've gotten a lot better with my own image. But that's not the case for a lot of people. A lot of people are at work. A lot of people are in school or at work with the high school mentality. And the high school mentality often means you go to school and you feel the immediate pressure of judgment already. You feel like when you go to school, you are being judged on your productivity. You are judged on how you look, the way you walk, your posture. If you're slouching, you may present as a certain mood. If you're not bubbly and talkative, you may be perceived as a other thing. When I go to work, I have an issue where I look like I'm dying. I look like I'm menacing. And it doesn't help because when my face is covered and it only shows the bags of my eyes and my forehead and my messy hair, I may come off as unapproachable. And it doesn't help to where when I walk in a certain way that's reminiscence of a JoJo pose. I'm walking menacingly with my chest out, my shoulders pinching, and I can't help it. That's because of my exercise. That's because of the workouts that I did, and I can't control. I can't control that, but I do wish that it was a little different. I do wish things would change. But again, despite that, I'm happy with the health of my body. I am happy with the diet that I'm taking. But it does suck though. And the judgment of others is definitely taxing. High school's over. High school's over. High school is a time and place to where you did care about the makeup that you wore. I remember when I was in school, it was all about what brand you wore. You attracted people in school because you wore Nikes or Timberlands. You had that North Face jacket. You had those Ray-Bans. It was a whole thing. There was a whole kick of people who had the North Face backpacks, the North Face jackets during the winter times. People cared if you had the latest Air Jordans. People cared when you had Express. And then you couldn't wear graphic tees that had anime until like the 2010s was when it was getting more socially acceptable to accept graphic tees. And then people liked you if you had graphic tees that had cultural influence. Like if you had if you had a T-shirt with Reptar, people was like, "Oh, sick! Did you like Rugrats too when you were younger?" Yeah, dude. And if you had like a Marvel character, like during the age of the Iron Man movies, when Iron Man first came out to kick off the Marvel universe, people was like, "Oh, sick! You have an Iron Man T-shirts? Are you an Iron Man fan?" And you were attracting people because you were wearing the clothes of social media. You were wearing the clothes of culture. You were a man of culture if you had these certain things on, and people were chasing brands like it's crazy. And that's just kind of how the high school was. High school and college. When you get into college, that's when you realize, oh, wait, nobody cares. Nobody cares nobody cares what shoes you wear. I just want you to wear shoes. Nobody cares what clothes you're wearing. You are covered. Nobody cares. And then it comes to a point where, well, okay, at the very least, they care about the passing grade. As long as I'm passing, that's fine. And college was very eye-opening to where high school is over. You don't have to live in that judgment anymore. So in the comments of that same TikTok I was listening to, there was the comment read were as followed that really just took my impression. It caught my attention. Never work a job you hate in order to buy things you don't want so you can impress people you don't know. And that is a good idea when it comes to living outside of people's judgments, living outside of the outside noise. And that sucks to where we live in a society to where Instagram compliments Instagram and photo posts celebrates people who are living these lavish lifestyles, who have these Lamborghinis, who have the Rolex, who has the Lexus. And it's the act of living in excess is very toxic. I may not look like the six-pack ab dude. I may not look like the guy who drives the Corvette. But also, I am someone who is comfortable in a car that gets me from A to B, and that's all that should matter. Other people's opinions should be taken with a grain of salt, because if you hate the job you're working at, that's fine. That's first level. That's like, I hate this job, but it pays for the things that I love. I mean, sure, fine. We live in a society to where working a 9 to 5 gets you into the next day. It pays for your basic needs. It pays for your housing. And that should be enough. And in practice, if you have extra income, if you have extra money outside of that, it should be to make things more manageable. Extra money may include after buying your clothes, buying your food, you may want to if you have enough money, splurge on that like computer, because we didn't live in a society to where computers are a thing, phones are a thing. People were judging each other if you didn't have the iPhone or if you didn't have the new Galaxy Samsung. People in high school is terrible. Everybody sucks too, because I could look at there's a whole idea of a civil war between Android and Apple, and that already is pretty toxic. So for some people, it's toxic to where, oh, you are using an Android, get the iPhone. It's easier, it's better, and that's your judgment. You have to understand that a lot of people's judgments are based on their own values, they're based on their own experiences. And you have to take that with a grain of salt, because they got to where they were from their own decisions, and they're like this too. Their opinions are based on how they got there. But how you got to where you are at is not the same. In the same way that lightning never strikes twice, the same way that snowflakes, you can never find the same snowflake twice. You are living your own life. So you have to take everybody else with a grain of salt, because you are the only one living your job, living your life. So take it with a grain of salt. You may look at Zac Efron. Take that with a grain of salt. He looks great. He looks fantastic. In Baywatch 2017 with Dwayne Johnson, he looked super attractive. He looked like he was good. But on the interview with Hot Ones, he expressed the lifestyle that it took to maintain that look was depressing. It was hard. It was unrealistic. There was a science that he had to manage between intaking water and intaking calories. He had to play that science so hard to where sometimes he was acting and working while being dehydrated, while being malnutritioned, because that's how you maintain the look for that one shot. And that was unhealthy. That was an unhealthy way to actively live if that is your lifestyle. You have to be extremely active to maintain that kind of physique, and it sucks. You don't understand how everybody else sucks too. You may have this perfect situation where, oh, you're in leadership, you have a girlfriend, but also you suck because you may be a narcissist. You may still not know how to drive. You may live with your parents still. But you got that nice position. You got that nice girlfriend. But you suck too. And you may be in management. You may be in a good place at your job. But you suck too. Your social game, your social networking really sucks. Maybe your diet sucks to where your friend and coworker had to give you food because you're on a coffee diet, because you didn't take care of yourself. You may actually suck too. Your judgment, other people's outside voice, needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Live your own life. You have to take your life by the wheel. You have to be the one driving it. You can't let the outside opinion drive it, and it sucks. The following comments on that same Snap TikTok included, "We care about compliments way too much." That speaks volumes into the age of Twitter and the age of Instagram. There are Instagram models to where they take photos of how they look, and they would taper as to how often they will post. All those photos, they may have been taken under the course of one day, and they may be dieting and exercising until the next time they do a photo shoot. And they are praised for looking that way. They are praised for looking so sexy, so healthy, so big, so strong. And Instagram, Twitter is a very toxic environment. There are people who are getting judged for their 2 cents 10 years ago. They made a tweet 10 years ago and they're being punished for it. There is people getting slapped at the Oscars because of a bad joke, because it's just a joke, but they take it too seriously. We take the comments of others, we take the judgment of others way too seriously. If I can just make a campaign for the salt man, everyone will get their own grain of salt because they need it. They need a grain of salt to understand that some comments aren't worth it. That's just a perspective. That is simply something to review. I can always read the comments. One of the number one rules on YouTube when you are making content is you don't you read the comments, but you can't make critical judgment on the comments, because you have to take it with a grain of salt. But if you don't agree with it, and if it doesn't help you stay in a healthy mindset, great, you don't have to follow it. A lot of it sucks because everybody sucks too. Everybody flipping sucks too. Everybody can fork it and just leave it alone. People suck as well. The comments further explain that most of the time we're too careful about XYZ because we're afraid of their judgment, like they're our parents and family members. And when I was being raised, again, I lived in a society where my parents, it was almost a situation to where it was like raising Pokemon. They would gossip with each other and they would talk about, oh, how are they doing in school? Oh, they look good. That's great. I love how your son looks. Why, thank you. He's been very healthy. Wow, your son's been like gaining a little bit of weight. I know, I couldn't help. He's having a hard time keeping it off. And it's almost a problem with like family gossip to where sometimes it does feel like you're exercising just so that you can go to that wedding. You're exercising just to go to that family get together because they haven't seen you in a couple months. They haven't seen you in a couple years. So when they first see you after that long period of time, that's just them seeing you for the first time, and they make judgments almost instantly like, oh, you don't look too good. Is everything okay? Yeah, they're good. I just work night shifts. I just have a hard time with dieting because I work a graveyard shift, and the body chemistry doesn't adjust for only eating at night. It adjusts for when you're eating during the day, and that's not good. That sucks. The idea that it sucks. Everybody sucks. And again, grades are such a thing. Oh, he has a master's in biology. He is great. But also, he sucks because at the end of the day, he goes home playing MapleStory like it's 2005, and he's stuck at home with his friends on the computer. I don't see him going out a lot. I don't see him with friends a lot. We question if he has friends, if he's okay. And that's, again, another judgment that I'm making. I suck too. There are people that I don't agree with that I find judgment in. So I'm not the best people either, but I'm living my life to where I'm comfortable. And that's where we really do have to close the episode. There's a lot more comments I could have went through, so let's kind of speed run through it. We were taught to care for other people's opinions. That's true. That was my society as well. It's become normal to live for other people's judgments. Again, that's perfectly normal because in society, we have L'Oreal, we have Head and Shoulders, we have Macy's. They have models that are using their products that look really good. They look peak photogenic because they look a certain body weight. Their body looks like a certain way, and the way they wear their clothes look a certain way. They're wearing clothes that fits them, that look stylish. So when we were in school, we have to dress stylish. We have to grab that North Face jacket. We need the Timberlands, the Air Jordans. We need the Rolex, the Corolla. And we are perceived and judged because of what we have instead of who we are. It's about being a decent human and being good at it. And if you have a business and you're good at making videos, then flipping, yeah, that's forking amazing. That's really good. So live your life. That's a great way to end the episode. Live your life. Take everything. Take the opinions. Take the photos. Take social media with a grain of salt, because they can be an inspiration, but they're not a reason to do things. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please make sure you follow on social media. Subscribe on YouTube. That's free. Follow on Twitch. Follow on Discord. Follow on Spotify, Anchor. That's free. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for watching. And as always, my name is Tyler. I'm your friend. And I'll see you next time. Bye.